Well, I was 6, and I remember at 6 years old he was writing. And I thought he was writing poems, and he'd read them to us, and I'd say, "JR, that's pretty." You know, as a child, I didn't realize that he was writing songs. I just thought he was writing pretty poems. And it was always about love, or it was always about God, always about Jesus. And he would write things that rhymed. And he said, "I can sing this." And I'd always hear him humming. But I remember when Johnny turned 16 or 17, I can't remember, you know, how, you know, young men's voices begin to change. And he was outside. Mama and me were standing in the kitchen, doing something in the kitchen. And we heard this deep voice. And Mama said, "What's that?" I said, "Mama, I think that's JR." And she said, "Son, come in here." And she said, "Was that you? Was that you singing?" He said, "Yes, ma'am, Mama." And his voice had deepened, and he said, I'm gonna sing." He said, "I'm gonna sing." And my mother, I remember her saying, "Well, God's got his hand on you." And I bet you she said that every week for as long as I can remember. God's got his hand on you. You got a gift. And so she took in laundry. Some of the school teachers would let her do laundry and pay her. And she saved up money, and we took Johnny to a voice teacher in Dice. And I went with her that day, and the voice teacher said, "Let me hear what you can do." And he sang the Whipping Poof song. I don't even remember how it went. And she said, "Sing." So he sang a verse, and she said, "Well, okay, thank you for coming. You can leave now." And he said, "You mean I'm no good?" And she said, "Oh, no." He said, "God's given you a gift I wouldn't dare touch." And the rest is history. It was like every contest he'd enter, every time he'd sing in church, he always won. He always won first place. If J.R. Cash was going to sing, everybody else knew he'd win, because it was a gift. It was a gift as long as I can remember. And we'd sing in church, and I remember he'd get up and sing a solo in church, and he'd be nervous, but he didn't realize how great he was. He was brilliant in his writing. He was brilliant in his melodies that he put to songs. And he was very strong in the Lord. He gave his heart to the Lord when he was 12, when Jack passed away. And as the story goes, and everybody in the world knows, his life is an open book. He got on the road. He traveled a lot with Elvis. He and Elvis were dear friends. Jerry Lee Lewis, Carl Perkins, Roy Orbison, and of course Jim Carter was along. As the movie showed, that was the way it happened. And for years he did that, night after night after night after night on the road with him and the Tennessee Two, Marcia Grant and Luther Perkins. Marcia Grant and Luther Perkins were my brother Roy's mechanics at 306 Union Avenue at the Chrysler plant. And Johnny went in there one night and said, "Can I borrow you musicians? I'm going to go do some singing." And he said, "Yeah, it's all right. You can borrow my musicians." Well, the rest is history. They became the Tennessee Two with Roy's blessings. I remember one time Roy gave him a $10 bill, and because Johnny didn't have any money. And Johnny said, "I'll pay you back." I think he paid him back quite a lot.
I think so. You guys sang gospel growing up, and you mentioned Jude Carter. You listened to her. Were those his main musical influences growing up? Was gospel and
he loved gospel quartet. He loved the Chuck Wagon Gang. He loved the Chuck Wagon Gang. He loved harmony. Any group that sang with harmony. That's one of the reasons he loved the Carter family, because of the beautiful, incredible harmony they'd had. And he would anytime there was a singing group come to any of our towns, surrounding our towns, he would save money to go, because he loved the harmony of gospel music. That's all he listened to.